Today we're making something truly special. Rich, milky, sweet, and soft as a cloud bread. This bread is everything you want in a homemade loaf. Rich in flavor, slightly sweet. Trust me, your kids are going to love it. And once you try this recipe, you'll never want to buy bread from the bakery again. I'll guide you step by step with tips along the way to make sure your bread turns out absolutely perfect. So, let's get started. Alright, let's start with the base of our bread. Take 275 grams of bread flour and 20 grams or 2 tablespoons of milk powder and sift them into a dough kneading bowl. You know, sifting makes the flour light and airy, giving our bread a beautifully soft texture. Plus, it ensures the milk powder blends evenly, which adds a creamy richness to the dough. If you want to add an extra creamy flavor, you can increase the milk powder slightly. Let's move on to the wet mixture that makes this bread so rich and flavorful. In a bowl, combine 80 milliliters of full cream milk, 1 medium-sized egg, 2 tablespoons of condensed milk, around 30 milliliters, and 10 grams of sugar. Whisk it all together until smooth. Condensed milk doesn't just add sweetness, it gives the bread a rich, milky flavor that makes it so special. And if you want your bread to be slightly sweeter, feel free to add 1 more tablespoon of condensed milk. This is what makes the bread taste so special and so kid-friendly. Trust me, they'll love the flavor and won't leave a single slice behind. And just like that, our wet mixture is ready to transform this bread into something truly special. Let's move on to kneading the dough. All right, let's fix the dough hook to our mixer and start kneading the dough. Start the mixer on low speed and slowly begin adding the liquid mixture. If you're wondering about the yeast, don't worry. I'm adding it later in this recipe. I'll explain exactly why, and there's a good reason for it, and it'll make a big difference in how your bread turns out. This part is especially helpful if you're a beginner. It's so much easier to control the dough's texture when you add the liquid gradually. Different flours absorb liquid differently, and adding it all at once can sometimes make the dough too sticky or too dry. By adding the liquid a little at a time, you can adjust as needed, ensuring the perfect consistency. After about 4 to 5 minutes, you'll notice the dough coming together nicely. Once it reaches this stage, we're ready to add the salt and butter to make it even better. Let's keep going. Now, sprinkle in the salt and continue kneading for another 2 minutes to ensure it's well incorporated. Then, gradually add the softened unsalted butter a little at a time. Let the mixer knead for another 4 to 5 minutes until the butter is fully absorbed and the dough becomes smoother. Next, mix a small amount of warm water with the instant yeast in a separate bowl to make a paste. After the butter is fully incorporated, it's time to add the yeast paste. Add this paste to the dough and continue kneading for about 5 more minutes. You might be wondering why I'm adding the yeast at this stage instead of earlier with the liquid. Adding yeast later ensures that the salt and butter don't interfere with its activity. Salt in particular can inhibit yeast if they come into direct contact too soon. By adding it now, the dough is already well formed, and the yeast can work its magic to give the bread a perfect rise. Especially in summer, when you make bread, adding yeast later ensures it doesn't start fermenting too early, which could lead to uneven rising or overproofing during later stages. After kneading, perform the window pane test to check if your dough is ready. Stretch a small piece of dough. If it doesn't tear and you can see light through it, you're good to go. Once the dough is ready, let it rest for about 10 minutes. This short rest relaxes the gluten, making the dough easier to handle. After resting, divide the dough into 3 equal parts. Roll each piece into a smooth ball, then gently roll it out to fit your baking pan. Place the dough balls side by side in the pan, cover with a clean towel, and leave them to proof until they double in size. But here's a tip. If you don't want to divide the dough, you can skip this step. Just take the entire dough, shape it into one big ball, roll it out, and place it directly in your baking pan. For the best proofing, keep the dough in a warm, draft-free place. If your kitchen is cold, place it in the oven with just the light on and a bowl of warm water to create a warm, humid environment. You can see here how smooth and perfect it looks. It's going to rise beautifully. Now that the proofing is done, it's time to bake our bread. First, preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius, 340 degrees Fahrenheit. Getting the temperature just right is key for perfectly baked bread. Before we pop it in, brush the top of the dough with milk. Bake it at 170 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes. Once baked, remove the bread from the pan and let it cool completely on a wire rack. This is super important. Cooling prevents the bread from becoming soggy. Now slice it up and just look at that texture. It's so soft, fluffy, and absolutely perfect. The slight sweetness and the rich, milky flavor are what make this bread truly special. Trust me, your kids will love it. They'll be asking for this every day. Let's discuss best tips for making bread in winter and summer. Keep the dough warm by proofing it in the oven with the light on, placing a bowl of warm water nearby. Extend proofing time. Dough may take longer to rise in colder temperatures. Be patient and let it double in size, even if it takes extra time. In winter, butter may be too firm to incorporate easily. Soften it beforehand to room temperature to ensure it blends smoothly into the dough. In summer, the dough can warm up quickly during kneading, which may overactivate the yeast and create a strong yeast smell. To avoid this, control dough temperature by using cold liquid or even adding a few ice cubes to keep the dough cool during kneading. Adding yeast after kneading most of the dough helps prevent overactivation, especially during long kneading times in warm kitchens. Always aim for soft, smooth, and slightly tacky dough during kneading. Adjust liquid or flour as needed. Perfect bread takes time. Whether it's winter or summer, don't rush the process. Good bread is worth the wait. If you try this recipe, let me know how it turns out in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more delicious recipes like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.